have learned about the Holocaust in this class? Pop a hand up, though. Philip?
The camps,
You want me to come back to you?
yeah, the Auschwitz.
Auschwitz, we learned about Auschwitz. Good. Good. DJ, what else?
The ghettos,
The ghettos. What did we learn about the ghettos?
like they had to wear yellow stars.
They had to wear yellow stars to identify that they were what?
Jews.
Jews, right? Zeb?
They had numbers on their arm.
They had numbers on their arm when they got where?
Camps.
Into the concentration camps. Good. Can you catch it? 'Cause- sorry. Oh, sorry, Willie. Christian?
I wanted to see if twins were really similar.
They wanted to see if twins were really similar, so what did they do a lot
They
of?
would pull hairs out to see if that's the same, or they just
Trying to
yeah.
They try and conjoin. They did a lot of experimentation on twins, right? Good. Jameson?
If you didn't know your number in concentration camps and when they asked you, you get shot instantly.
If you didn't know their number, if you didn't know your number, yeah, you had to know your number. That's exactly right. And we're going to talk about that more with the book that we're going to be reading. Let me ask you a different question, though, right quick. That's a different question. And maybe from this side of the room would be really great, because I think you guys know too. Why are we studying the Holocaust to start with, Sammy?
To not let it rehappen.
To not let it happen again, right? That's a great answer, to not let it happen again. Are there any other reasons? Ooh, sorry, those pixie
It's okay.
sticks don't fly well. Are there any other reasons we might want to study the Holocaust to start with? Matt?
Many books are written about it.
Many books are written about it. Right, we're just going to do some good old-fashioned literature, absolutely. But I think the main reason that we want to study it is because, history will repeat itself if we don't learn from it. So what I want you to do is I want you to get on Canvas, okay? You're going to open up the Canvas tab to go to your modules tab. It'll take me a second to get there. Go to your modules on my page, okay? You're going to open up your modules. And you're going to go all the way down to the one called The Devil's Arithmetic, okay? Where the book that we're going to start reading today is called The Devil's Arithmetic. What does that mean, arithmetic? Math, right. So it's a book all about math. Aren't you excited to read it?
No.
It's not actually about math. But what I want you to do is I want you to click on the very first thing in The Devil's Arithmetic. It says Back in Time Padlet Journal. I want you to click on that, please, okay? So we have done Padlets in here before. I know you guys know how to use them, okay? But if you forget, I can always show you again. So what you're going to do is you're going to respond to the journal prompt on the Padlet. You're going to make sure that your sentence, to meet your sentence length, and you're going to keep it clean, okay? Sorry, Philip. The password for the Padlet is English, so when you go to it, if it asks you for a Padlet password, you need to put in English, okay? So your prompt is the following. This is what you're going to answer, okay? It says, for your journal, today you're going to write at least 5 sentences. I could be flexible on that, but try for 5 sentences on the first problem you would fix if you could go back in time. What is the first problem you'd fix if you could go back in time, okay? What wrongs would you right? Where would you go? How far back would you go? What would you do differently? Try not to make your answers political. Like, don't say, well, I'd shoot Donald Trump. If that's what you feel, okay, that's fine. But we're really looking at righting true wrongs, okay? And make sure that you put your name on the title block to receive credit, okay? Jameson Faw doesn't have a computer. You want me to do it on the computer?
Did you put a cap on that?
So you're going to get a few minutes to write this. So go ahead and write yours. When you create a Padlet sticky note, you just hit this add button down here at the bottom, and it'll pop right up. Make sure you put your name on it, okay? So I'll be walking around and looking and helping, and so you got a few minutes to write. Please don't write on other people's Padlets if you're allowed to. I don't know that you are.
Do you think it would keep going, or should I stop it there, or?
That's 4 minutes. Now you're gonna edit, so I can
Oh,
talk.
no, of
but
course, yeah. We could stop it there, and then I could start it back when.
she
we,
said you
like,
could
talk.
combine the two.
Okay, just two? I'm gonna
That's a
have
good
to edit all
question.
this right now. Okay, so we're going to look at some of your answers for what you would do if you could go back in time. And remember, I did say that you could say that you wouldn't go back in time, and I didn't even really think of that as an option. Some of you asked me, and that's totally fine. So Danielle says, I don't think I would go back in time if I had the chance. I like how things are now. Going back in time could mess things up. Excellent job, Danielle. How many of you would agree with that statement? More than I thought. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay, about 10 of you. Could anybody pop their hand up and tell me why you would agree with that statement I wouldn't go back in time. Sammy, hit me.
Alright, so history happens for a reason. If it doesn't happen in the past, it'll happen in the future. It's bound to. Something's gonna go wrong.
So you think there's no point in fixing it because if you fix it, something else gonna go wrong?
Yeah.
Okay,
You'll
okay,
make
I
them
can give it
comfortable.
up. What else? Why else might we not want to go back? Helen?
Make things worse.
You could just make things worse. That's right. You could just end up making things worse. Okay, Christian?
Unintended consequences.
There could be unintended consequences from your actions, like the butterfly effect, which is a crazy movie. If you guys never seen it. All right, let's find somebody who would.
Don't do me.
Do Philip, if yours isn't clean, I swear I won't.
It is.
Somewhat.
Matthew Schaefer says, if I could go back in time, I would not have let Hitler. Is that an
I don't know what
emoji?
that box is, because it didn't show up on mine like that.
I would not have let Hitler emoji all of those Jews and terrorize them. He just killed them because he was mad. I would have killed him because I was mad. That's a good. That's.
I think they
That's a
blocked
good-
out the word kill.
Yeah,
didn't
it might have blocked out the word killed.
Yeah, I didn't block it out.
I have it set so that if you cuss in the thing, it'll replace it with a smiley face emoji, so I know when you.
Well, it blocked out the word.
So that might be what it did. Is you said kill or
I mean,
something
this
like
is
that,
one other word.
and it said no. So Matthew, thanks, boys. Put it off, Philip. Come on.
This is Steve's.
You're not in the picture.
I'm the only one in the picture because I'm the star of the movie.
All right. So Cameron says that he
Oh.
could go back in time. He would. Thanks for not talking to me. Super rude. Thanks. Alex says if he could go back in time, he would try and convince the Germans not to vote for Hitler. I guess I would run for president as well to stop Hitler. That's a good idea, Alex. Instead of killing Hitler, you chose a non-violent solution to not letting Hitler come to power. That's a good idea. Dylan says if I could go back in time, I would change the terms a president can serve. I think as long as you were voted back in office, you should be allowed to stay. Okay. Why do you think so, Dylan? You don't know? Just an opinion that you have for no reason? Just a good topic. Okay. Willie says if he could go back in time, I would make the presidents go through a bunch of tests. They would have to go through survival and fitness tests. Why do you think that, Willie?
I just thought that.
Well, you gotta have a reason.
I was just thinking, and then first thing popped into my head.
Okay. Okay. No, it's okay. Listen.
The German bombers.
Philip says. If I could go back in time, I would stop Adolf Hitler from doing anything that he did. I would have gone back in time and killed him. Then I would have made everyone allies and eliminated communism. Then I would make every single power on earth allied to the United States. I don't think that's a bad thing to say, Philip. Why are you embarrassed? For those of you, thanks, boys. Thanks. For those of you who wrote about killing Hitler or replacing Hitler, let me ask you this, because DJ goes on a whole rant about Archduke Franz Ferdinand. You're like, you know, took us on a history trip. But let me ask you, would you have written about Hitler if we weren't talking about the Holocaust? If we weren't about to read a book about the Holocaust? If we hadn't been dealing with it for the last couple of weeks and we're going to continue dealing with it, would you have written about Hitler still, do you think?
No.
No.
Why, you're shaking your head yes, Philip. Why do you think so?
Because it's, either way, it's still a terrible thing, and I've learned it once, it stays with me. I can't just forget about that.
Okay, good. So that's just, it's not something you want to forget about. But Zeb's back there shaking his head. He doesn't think he would have written about Hitler. Why do you think so, Zeb? You just wouldn't have? There are other problems that are bigger, maybe?
Slavery. Slavery still happens.
A lot of big problems. You might have written about slavery instead. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Do you think there are more bad things than good things that we could fix? Or
No. That's hard to
Why?
answer.
Raise your hand if you got something to say. Taylor, what do you think, babe?
DJ said wood instead of wood.
DJ said what?
Wood instead of well.
Oh. I said.
Where? Right here?
Yeah.
No, it
At
should
the
say
very
wood right
bottom.
there, right?
At the very bottom, and keep the wood somewhat peaceful.
Oh, yes, we will.
Oh, you did. Thank you, Taylor, for pointing out TJ's mistake. Okay. So the reason, listen, thanks. So the reason that I had you write this journal, why do you think, what do you think this might have to do with what we're reading?
Absolutely.
Yes, it's
Zeb
time
says
travel.
absolutely nothing. You would be incorrect.
I'm guessing there's time travel.
He's guessing there's time travel in the book. Well, here's the thing about the Devil's Arithmetic. It's a fun little book. I really think you guys will enjoy it. But it's never really too clear if it is time travel or not, or if this girl just like passes out, or maybe she's on a drug trip or something. In the movie, she's really like rebellious and like doesn't want to like, I don't want to remember, forget this, you know. So it's possible you're on drugs. But in the book that we were about to read, and I'll show you the slide I want to get to in just a minute, in a second, and maybe in a second, there. Oh gosh. So in the book that we're going to read, the main character does go back in time, basically, okay? So let's talk a little bit. This is your pre-reading to what we're going to read, and we are going to start reading the first chapter today, okay? The Devil's Arithmetic, it takes place during the modern day, so during your average everyday society, okay? The main character, her name is Hannah. She's about 13 years old, so not much younger than you guys are. Some of the topics that we're going to address are hope, because she tries to keep her hope up while she's in the concentration camp. We're also going to talk about the importance of family, the importance of remembrance, and not taking the past for granted. Because just like we said earlier, we are studying the Holocaust because we don't want to forget it and let it happen again. So that's what she kind of comes to understand, is she doesn't want to let something like that happen again. Okay? And then we actually are not going to do that right now. We're going to do this later. So, Miss Hanker, you can go ahead and pause it because we're going to get books out. When her mother didn't answer at once, Hannah slumped down in the seat. Sometimes she wished her mother would yell at her the way Rosemary's mother did. But she knew her mother would only give her one of those slow, low, reasonable lectures that were so annoying. Passover isn't about eating, Hannah, her mother began at last, sighing and pushing her fingertips up through her silver-streaked hair. You could have fooled me, Hannah muttered. It's about remembering. All Jewish holidays are about remembering, Mama. I'm tired of remembering. Tired or not, you're going with us, young lady. Grandpa Will and Grandma Belle are expecting the entire family, and that means you too. You have to remember how much family means to them. Grandma lost both her parents to the Nazis before she and her brother managed to escape. And Grandpa, I remember, Hannah whispered. Will lost everything but your Aunt Eva, a family of 8 all but wiped out. She sighed again, but Hannah suspected there was little sympathy in that sigh. It was more like punctuation. Instead of putting periods at the end of her sentences, her mother sighed. Hannah rolled her eyes and slipped farther down in the seat. Her stomach felt heavy, as if the argument lay there like unleavened bread. It wasn't a particularly long trip, from New Rochelle to the Bronx, where her grandparents lived. So what state are we in, do you think? The Bronx is in what state? New York, very good. So we're in New York City, basically, yeah. It wasn't a long trip from New Rochelle to the Bronx where her grandparents lived, but the car was overheated as usual, and Aaron complained the entire way. I'm sick, he said loudly. Whenever he was unhappy or scared, his voice got louder. If he was really sick, he could hardly be heard. I'm going to throw up. We have to go back. Do any of you have annoying brothers and sisters like this? Yes, Trent does. As her mother turned around and glared at them from the front seat, Hannah patted Aaron's hand and whispered, Don't be such a baby, Ron Ron. The 4 questions aren't all that hard. I can't remember all 4 questions. Aaron almost shouted the last word. You don't have to remember them, Hannah's patience was wearing thin. You're supposed to read them from the Haggadah. Everybody say Haggadah.
Haggadah.
And we talked about that in our vocab words. It's a prayer that says a Seder, right? So he has to perform part of the Seder. What if I can't read it right? Hannah began to sigh, caught herself, and turned it into a cough. You've been reading right since you were 3, Mr. Smarty. She cuffed him lightly on the side of the head, and he cried out. Hannah, her father called back in warning. Look, she said quickly to Aaron to make him shut up. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake, Ron Ron, but if you do, I'll be right there next to you. I'll whisper it into your ear just like they do in the plays when someone forgets a line. Just like Mrs. Graham had to do when you forgot, just like that. Promise? Promise. She gave him a funny look and then pounced on him, tickling him under the arms and over